Campus Hustlers with Fatima Zakaria.
Imagine a world where technology meets artistry and education extends far beyond the classroom. Our guest story embodies this fusion, taking us on a journey from the world of coding to the art of digital experience and the importance of learning beyond the classroom. Hi, welcome to yet another interesting episode of Campus Hustlers, your weekly dose of entrepreneurial spirit unfiltered. I'm your host, Fatima Zakaria. I'm an entrepreneur, a corporate event anchor, a voiceover artist, and of course, I am a podcaster. Joining me on today's podcast is Timothy Iloba, a 400-level cybersecurity student at the Air Force Institute of Technology, AFIT, Kaduna State, Nigeria. Timothy is a skilled software engineer and a web development specialist who seamlessly blends technical expertise with creative flair. His passion lies in building not just websites, but digital experiences that captivate and convert. By combining his technical acumen with a keen eye for design, he empowers businesses to elevate their online presence and streamline their operations. Beyond his professional pursuit, Timothy is committed to sharing knowledge and inspiring next generation of tech talent through his role as an ICT instructor. Hi Timothy, it's good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Fatima. I'm happy to be here.
I hope you are good today.
Yeah, I am. How about you?
I'm good too, thank you. Alright, let's talk about why we are here. Can you share your journey into software engineering and cybersecurity and web development?
Thank you so much, Fatima. I really commend you, first of all. You're really doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm really happy to be here. And I know that this will really go far, not just today, but in the years to come. So, my journey, I started when I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, so my dad enrolled me to a computer school back then. I hope you don't mind me telling the story. I'm going to try to shorten it, but I think
no problem, shorten it.
Our listeners will learn a lot from this story, right?
Okay.
Yeah, back then at the computer school, I was still a young teenager. I was vibrant, energetic, and restless. So I wasn't really paying attention then at the computer school. So my instructor then would be teaching and I'll be playing, that kind of teenager stuff.
Yeah.
So that was how I started when I was starting. So on this fateful day in school, we were in our computer lab and a youth corper was taking the class. Then he asked a simple question and the whole class went silent. Then to motivate us to answer, he was now like, okay, I'm going to give 1,000 naira to anybody that can answer this question. The funny thing was that question he asked, my instructor in my computer school back at home used to always hammer on that, but I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
So that day, no one could answer. The person who could have been able to answer was me, but I was not listening in the computer school then.
Yes.
So that was how no one won the 1,000 naira. And then when I got home, I was really pissed. And I'm like, I'm going to turn a new leaf. I'm going to become serious with this computer school now. So that was when I got a notebook and a pen. I used to go there, jot down. And that's how the whole journey started. So I graduated from computer school. I was the best student.
Wow.
They had to keep me to teach others for like 1 year or so. Then I later moved on to a cyber cafe where my dad just took me to, and I was working there for free. I was typing, and that's how the whole journey started. So let me shorten it. How I dived to web development. So that same copper who was taking us the ICT class, he came to my school then, Federal Government College, back in 2016. So he was a web developer. Back then, I used to see him write some codes on a dark screen anytime I was passing by, and I was like, what's this? Until I started going there, standing by his side, and I was watching, even though I didn't understand anything. So that's how I first got to know about coding, right? So when I graduated in SS3 after my WAEC, that was when I spoke to my dad and I was like, I want to learn this stuff. And my dad was like, I already took you to a computer school. What else do you want to learn? So later on, as God may have it, my dad arranged and the youth corps started teaching me coding. Then I was 15 at that time. So that's how I started. Yeah. So I think I'll stop here. I'll bring in some more of the gist while we talk. Thank you.
All right. I love that. I love your story. You make us understand why it is actually important to be serious wherever you find yourself. Okay. So, and that takes me to my next question, Timothy. What motivated you to become an ICT instructor, and what do you enjoy most about the teaching?
Okay. Thank Thank you very much. So when I started out as a web developer, as I began to advance, it began to prove to be very difficult, right? So I was at some point, after staying with my mentor for about 1 year, he moved out of Kaduna. So I was now alone. I had to start learning with YouTube and other resources. So I discovered that whenever I learn a concept from a YouTube video, right, and I go out and like teach one of my friends, like we were actually learning together then, I discovered that it sticks to my brain. So I'm not like, what's this? So I tried it many times and I'm like, okay, I think it helps me learn, because when to teach someone something, you have to be like really sure of what you're saying, right? So and it also makes the knowledge stick. So that was when I discovered that okay, this teaching stuff is actually good. But way before then, I used to be a Sunday school teacher when I was still younger. Yeah, so that's how the whole journey started. So teaching, what inspired me was that I got to learn more whenever I teach.
Awesome, I get that. Okay, so what strategies did you use to self-promote and gain visibility?
Okay, this is very important. Yeah, back then, I'm going to be very open. I know some people try to hide stuff whenever they talk, but I'm going to be open because I believe a lot of people will learn. I'm going to be listing some of the things I did, and I'm not going to exaggerate. So first of all, I started by working for free, right?
Okay.
So the first website I built was for free, and it was for my church. As at that time, I didn't even have any money to host. It was my mom who gave me the hosting fee, 8,000 naira then. So that was what I used to pay. And that was what made people to kind of know me more. Like my pastor knew me that, okay, this guy, he builds websites and all that. You understand? So that was the first thing I did. So the second thing I did was like reach out to schools. So back then, I was still young. I think I was 16. I used to write letters. I would type it, print it. I would go around schools and say, please, proposals to build your website, do this for this amount. What small amount then? And sometimes most of them didn't like respond, but at least I got some jobs from that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another part. Then back in 2021, when I started working with a foreign-based company, a colleague told me about LinkedIn. So that was how I started to learn about LinkedIn. I started to post, and trust me, LinkedIn is a life changer. Like you get to meet a lot of people all around the world, and that opened many doors for me. Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God for that. So those are the three things that I think I did. If I remember any, I'm going to point them out. Thank you.
That's awesome. The importance of volunteerism cannot be overemphasized. And you reach out to people. And LinkedIn. I'm just beginning to explore LinkedIn, and I pray that it opens door for me too.
Sure. I have an ebook I wrote. I think I'm going to give you a copy for free. Yeah, so you can.
Thank you so much for that. All right. So, what are some cybersecurity mistakes we make online as individuals and business owners?
Okay. First of all, the first cybersecurity mistake I see most people make is acting too fast. Yeah. So I'm going to share a story. Something happened to my mom some years ago. I can't remember the year. Someone called her and was like, okay, I work with, there's this Nigerian paramilitary, this civil defense. Person was like, I work with civil defense, blah, blah, blah. I have a slot for someone to get a job. And my mom, out of her kindness, she thought of one of my church members. I was like, okay, let me slot in this guy. She didn't know that person was a scammer. And that's how she sent some money then. So when she was telling us, I asked her a question. Why didn't you check in with me or check in with another person before taking this step? You understand? So I think the first step people make is acting too fast. When someone comes with a social engineering technique, I can explain what social engineering is. Social engineering is the act of manipulating victims into providing you with whatever you want. Is it whether information, money, or stuff? So I feel the mistake people make is acting too fast. So when someone reaches out to you with some kind of gimmicks or stuff, you have to relax first, check in with others. You understand? But most people these days, they act too fast. So I think that's the first mistake.
Interesting. So acting too fast, we really need to take our time to figure out, okay, is this real? Is this fake? Reach out to people who know more than us before we take any action. I love that.
So another mistake I see people make is most of them, they tend to trust everything they see. If someone sends you a link and like he's saying Tinubu is giving 60,000 and you don't even think you just believe the person because it's coming from a loved one or it's coming from someone you know. You understand? So there's this acronym we use in cybersecurity. I think it's ABC. Let me try to remember. ABC. Act, accept everything, believe nothing, and forgotten the third one. Yeah, I used to write about them years back. So I feel people should not just believe whatever they see on social media because phishing is now very rampant.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that, Timothy. All right, so I know that juggling academics with entrepreneurship is not easy. I am there, so I can tell. How did you balance academics and entrepreneurship as a student?
Okay, very, very, very important question. I would say it's God though, but I'm going to give you practical steps I use. I read this book, I think some years back. I've forgotten the name. And one thing I learned from that book was planning my day before it even comes. So every night I tend to sit down and write down, this is what I want to achieve tomorrow, and this is the time I want to achieve it tomorrow. So me personally, I work remotely, so I don't know how it is for other people, but back then I used to work with a US based company. Most of the time when it's been international company, so there's this time zone difference where I have to be awake at night, then during the day I do my work. So that's how it was for me. So I just make sure I plan my day well, then I use my night time well. There are some days that even require me to take my laptop to school. Like when I'm in a lecture hall, I have to respond to something. So that's how it has been. But I'll advise people to learn to organize their life, learn to plan your day before it. If you can get this sticky note, these sticky notes I use, just write out what you want to achieve that day and let it be looking at you. I think that's a practical step. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Planning is very, very important. They say if you fail to plan, that means you're planning to fail. I get that. So, Timothy, I would love to ask you this question. What are the challenges you faced so far or even currently facing?
First of all, the first challenge I am facing is with my academics. Let me explain it. It's not like I'm a bad student or I fail or stuff. Anytime I sit in a lecture hall, right?
Yeah.
The back of my mind is as if I'm wasting my time, to be honest, because my eyes opened early in life. Like, I got to know that there's always a way out for someone. Like, skills will really take you far, not just theoretical knowledge. So anytime I sit in a lecture hall and the lecturers, shout out to them, they are trying their best because I don't blame them. They were taught the same way too. You know, Nigeria recycles the whole curriculum. Something they taught in 1999 is what they are teaching now. No change. In a country where they teach you to code on the whiteboard, where you write codes on paper, not on a laptop. So anytime I sit in a lecture hall, it's just as if I'm wasting productive hours, to be honest. I feel like I should be home doing something meaningful, you get? So, and that has affected me in some ways because sometimes I feel like I'm not going to class today. So I think it affected me. I'm not advising you to do that. Please focus on your school. I'm also a good student. If you check my results, I'm still doing well, but sometimes I think, what if I put in more effort? So another challenge I'm facing right now in my field, I'm mostly into website development and I'm beginning to bring in cybersecurity into it. So I started out my career working with Nigerian clients. The first website I built, then I was paid 40,000 naira for it. It was later I began to relay with my mentor because my mentor had left Kaduna. He started working with international companies, started getting paid well. You know, he was even the one that linked me up with my first international full-time job. Shout out to him. Yeah, so I've been trying to like scale out of Nigeria. I've been trying to push for international clients and it's been really slow, but I'm grateful to God I'm making progress. Yeah. One challenge I face is I feel Nigerian clients can't pay me what I'm worth. You understand? So I'm kind of pushing for the international client. And one technique I'm using, like I said, I'm not going to hide anything. I want people to learn. One technique I use is leveraging LinkedIn and sending cold emails. And it's been working so far. So I've worked with a lot of, apart from the full-time roles, I'm talking about freelancing with international clients. I've used Upwork, LinkedIn. Also, this one is very important, sending cold emails.
What is cold email?
Yeah, so cold email, let me explain. So there are two words involved, cold and email. So cold email is simply the act of sending an email to someone who doesn't know you
Okay.
at all. It's just like it's like meeting someone for the first time. Let's say you want to reach out to a company. They don't know you. You are the one who knows them. So you are going to reach out. There are some steps involved in writing good cold emails. I talked about that in my LinkedIn ebook. I'm sure you're going to see it. You can hear it in different terms like cold messaging. Cold messaging is like sending a message to someone you have not met, whether on social media. But cold email is basically using the email method.
Thank you so much for that. I learned something new. I've never heard of that, but I know that it's possible to send an email to somebody you don't know, but I don't know that there is actually a term for it, and which is called email. Thank you so much for that, Timothy. All right, Timothy, do you mind sharing your success stories with us?
Okay. All glory to God. Yeah, I used to tell people I moved from being a cafe boy. Back then, I used to work at a cafe where I was paid 20,000 naira. I think I have a colleague then that used to call me a roadside programmer. He was just telling me that because he felt that all programmers must go to a university and study computer science for you to succeed. Yeah. So he was not like, I'm just a cafe boy. I'm learning it outside. I didn't learn it in a school. So, but I am grateful to God. I moved from that to working with international companies, international clients, and a lot of high dignitaries in Nigeria. Yeah. So I'm grateful to God for that. Anytime I look back, I'm like, wow. The truth is, if you had told me then that tech was going to take me this far, I wouldn't have believed. Me, I just thought it was something, okay, this one, that one, just get more money here and there. I didn't know it was going to take me this far, and I'm grateful to God. And I feel this is just the beginning, because I tell people my career hasn't started. I'm still in school. Let me be done with school and face life without any distraction. So I think that's one of the biggest win for me, how I moved from earning 12,000 naira and now I'm earning way bigger than that.
I love your success story. I love your journey, and I know that that person that said that to you then, if he see you now, he will also be surprised. Okay, so now as a final year student, where do you see yourself in the next 2 years?
Okay, first of all, I would love to say I see myself outside of this country. To be honest, I'm not saying Nigeria is bad. I feel my goals are not aligned with this country, to be honest. So I have this Google dream. Like, I want to work for Google or Apple because I love these companies. And I believe to make that happen, I have to be in a better country, because the odds will be very low for me if I remain here. So I don't know how God, you plan stuff and God plans his stuff. I also want to solve a problem, right? Like right now, I've not really figured it out 100%, but anytime I look at how people's solutions have helped my life. For instance, I got my first remote job with a platform called Jobberman. It's a Nigerian company. So Jobberman was built by someone. It was someone's idea, and look at how he blessed me. So I used to tell myself I can't go through this earth without solving a problem. So those are the kind of stuff. I know it's going to lead me to starting up companies. I believe I'm just building the skills for that now, because I believe you have to prepare for whatever you want. So that's it.
I wish you all the best in your endeavors. I pray that your dream come true by God's grace, so that I can see you one day with Google, Apple, and say, oh, come on, I have interviewed this person before. He was once upon a time on my podcast, by God's grace.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. So, Timothy, as somebody who started early, you faced challenges, you have overcome them, you have seen a lot because you started so early. So, what lessons have you learned so far?
Okay. I think this is going to help a lot of people. So, the first thing I'm going to say is don't belittle yourself. I started out at 15. At 16, I was already writing letters to proprietaresses and proprietors of schools then. And one issue I faced was this lack of confidence, and kind of, I'll call it, it's not shyness, it's just lack of confidence, because I believe confidence is inbuilt. I want to advise everyone out there now, whether you are an entrepreneur, you want to learn a tech skill, make sure you work on your confidence. To succeed in this life, you have to be really confident. And truth is, to be confident, you don't have to know everything. Just embody what it takes and you'll be confident. And also, don't attach your confidence to external stuff. Your confidence should not come from the fact that you're now using iPhone 11 or you're using MacBook Pro. It should come from within. So be confident. Do not belittle yourself, and don't let others belittle you. The second thing I have to share is make sure you do not just remain in the confines of your local environment. I was earning 40,000 naira then. I didn't know that it was possible to earn 6 figures in naira. You understand? Until I spoke with someone. That's my mentor, and he was like, you are earning a small amount, so you can earn 200, 300k with this same thing. You understand? Exposure is very important. As early as 15 then, what helped me was that I was not walking around with my mates. I was working with people in the tech industry that were making big money then. You understand? So that opened my mind. That, okay, it's possible to earn 2 million naira. It's possible to earn 5 million naira, not just this small amount. So expose yourself. I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Timothy. All right, so Timothy, now as a web developer, do you have any tip you would love to share with the web developers alike?
Yeah, sure. Shout out to my guys out there. Those of you who are learning. It's not easy, yes. I know you're going to struggle a lot, but this is the hack. Make sure you build projects. I know you love watching YouTube tutorials, but build projects. This is the technique I use whenever I watch a tutorial to help me learn maybe a new technology. After that tutorial, I make sure I build something. So the truth is you actually learn by building projects, and it's like a double-sided effect. When you build projects, you learn, and those projects will be there for reference. So focus on building projects. Don't get stuck in tutorial hell. Tutorial hell simply means watching tutorials over again. Yeah, so that's it.
I guess that. Thank you so much for that, Timothy. All right, so quickly before we dive into the second segment of the podcast, where can listeners find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Right.
My username is Timothy Iloba. Once you just search it, you're gonna see my profile. It says software engineer with strong cybersecurity skills. Once you see that, that's me.
Thank you so much for that. I know that I have done someone a favor right now by asking you for this. All right, so listeners, we are about to move into the second segment of the podcast. Timothy and I are going to be discussing the topic learning beyond the classroom, the importance of skill acquisition. The classroom is like a map, but skill acquisition is the compass that guides you through the real world. Stay glued to this segment because we are about to discuss the importance of skill acquisition. All right, Timothy, what sparked your interest in skill acquisition beyond formal education?
Okay, first of all, growing up, I watched my parents survive with skills. I'm not going to mention their business area, but my dad started learning his skill or his profession ever since he was 5 years old. You know that kind of feeble stuff where they just take a child to one guy and the guy will train the child. You understand that kind of stuff? Yeah, so same with my mom. So I used to be very observant in life. He stopped at secondary school. He was not able to go to university. So he had siblings who were graduates, who had MSc and all that stuff. And I used to watch them come to him most of the time seeking for help. So I connected that with other experiences I had outside. And I discovered that, wow, one really needs to have a skill. It's not really about school, you know. I discovered this early. I was a child that always observed. So I would just look at stuff that happened and like, why is this happening? You understand? Then I go back home and think about it. So I discovered that early that skill acquisition is actually the way to get out of the rat race. Thank you.
Okay, so Timothy, in the kind of world we find ourselves today, you see that, okay, maybe you are looking for a job and somebody as a fresh graduate, somebody's telling you 3 years experience, 4 years experience, stuff like that. So can you tell us what are some common gaps between academic knowledge and industry requirements?
Yeah, cool. That's a very good question. Yeah, so the first thing is lack of practical experience. In school, we are taught the whole theoretical stuff and we never even get to try what we are taught. I can still remember what my coursemate said. His name is Ekong. I'm going to mention his name. Very smart guy. And so one day, all these quality assurance people came around to our lecture hall and they were like asking us, what do we think the school can do better? And Ekong said a lot of things. Then he mentioned something. He said, if you sit in front of a car with your driving instructor for 10 years and you yourself don't drive, you are not going to learn. Do you understand what I just said? Yeah. So most of the time, they just show us the practical stuff. we cram them 5.0, you get A. But when we now give you to apply what you know or practicalize it, that's where the problem is, and that's where the government needs to come in. We need to review the whole curriculum, like teach practical stuff. The truth is, Nigerian graduates, and 90% of them, they are not employable. They don't have the skills. They think it's by passing their tests, passing their exams, coming out with a good result. But the truth is, when you now go to these companies, they don't really, let's say they care. When you come with a first class, they are like, okay, this guy is smart. But people are looking for value these days, you understand? The truth is, nobody really has the time to come and be teaching you the basics. At least so students should get the basics. So when you get the basics and you're actually a smart student, you were able to come out with 5.0 first class. Yes, that shows that you're really smart and you can retain something. So just get the basics first, you know. So that's it. Lack of practical experience.
I get that. Okay, so now, aside web development, can you share with us an example of skill you learned outside the classroom that has been invaluable?
Okay. This might sound odd, but I feel one skill that helped me was networking with others. I learned early that when you meet people, it exposes you, you get to get more opportunities. I used to tell people throughout my career, right, most of the dev jobs I've gotten, like, I didn't interview for them. Like, it was people that say, oh, I recommend Timothy. And that's how you start working without any interview. Normally, as a developer, you go through 4 rounds of interviews. But because of the fact that I've networked with people, I've built relationships, that really helps. So this is the 2 stuff I'm going to mention. Learn to network, learn to build relationship. Yeah, and I'll give you a tip. When you want to build relationship, right, always be the first to offer value. Mistake most people make these days is, okay, they meet this big person in their field and all that is in their mind is what they are going to get from the person, which is wrong. Those kind of people that are big, they have hundreds of people wanting to get something from them. So why not make a difference? Someone can just pick his phone and say, oh, this is Timothy, I recommend, and that's all. That job you just got, over 1,000 people have applied for it, but just because of that recommendation. Yeah.
Listeners, if you actually get this part, you will understand that networking is also a skill that you have to learn. So I commend you for that, Timothy. All right, networking skill, learn to network. It's very, very important. Okay, so now some people, they don't really have that time to go physical to learn because some of them are in school, some are not even in school, but they are doing one thing or the other, but they actually want to step up their game. So now, Timothy, please, what resources or platform do you recommend for online learning so people can learn skills?
Okay, yeah, I have some I can share. So the first is YouTube, right? So I tell people whenever you want to start learning everything, make sure you do your own research. So go on YouTube, you're going to find videos. Right now, as a beginner, you might not have a guide, someone to point you through, because me as a teacher, whenever I want to mentor or teach someone, I have specific videos. I can point you to this video and say this video is going to help you. But most of them out there now, they don't have someone to guide them. So just start with YouTube, gather as much knowledge as you can, so and that will help you with the basics. So when you've gotten the basics and you still feel that hunger, I will suggest you get a course, like buy a course. So to buy a course, you can go on a platform called Udemy and buy a course there. You can also go on Coursera to buy a course, but there's this feature that allows you to get courses for free on Coursera. It's called financial aid. I'll suggest you look it up. I can't explain the whole stuff. So start with free resources on YouTube to get the basic knowledge. Then if you want to advance, buy a course. When you get a course, you get deeper knowledge because you don't get everything for free. And 2 platforms that will help you to get deeper knowledge is Udemy and Coursera. Let me just add this. Whenever you want to learn, make sure you find someone that is like-minded. Do not try to learn on your own. Most of you won't survive learning on your own. Trust me, it's going to be difficult. Some days it's going to look as if the world is going to end. You are going to face a lot of challenges. So make sure you have a partner. It can be online, someone that 2 of you are also learning, you understand? So you get to motivate each other.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I get that. Okay, so now for students that are listening right now, you just motivated some people right now, and now I know that they understand the importance of skill acquisition, because some people now is book, lectures. That is all they are doing right now. But then now somebody just listen to this and they feel like, no, I need to learn a skill. So how can students balance academic responsibilities with skill acquisition?
Okay, first of all, I believe that if you're a serious person, you're not going to make any excuse. Yes, I know school is tough. I'm also a student. We sometimes go to school in the morning and we get back home in the evening, right? So what I tell people is this: look for 1 hour a day for yourself. Just 1 hour. It can be in the midnight. It can be during the day. Just make sure you give yourself to 1 hour of learning every day. Just 1 hour. I'm not saying you should go 10 hours or 20 hours. Just one. Okay, let me be mild. Start with 30 minutes a day. Just for yourself every day. It's going to compound though. Like with time. You see those 1 hours, it's going to add. In a week, that's like 7 hours, right? You can see how it's going to compound. So just create time for yourself. Go to school, yes. Focus on your school. Give it your best. But remember, 1 hour for yourself every day. Start with that. As you grow, you can increase it to 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Like me now, if I go a day without adding to my knowledge, whether it's reading a book, upskilling, or doing something just for myself, I feel as if I'm sick. I've done it to a point that anytime I miss a day, it's somehow for me. So just start with 1 hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Timothy. And I will say it has really been an amazing time with you. But finally, before we go, what are your final thoughts on this topic, learning beyond the classroom?
I'm going to end the whole discussion with this story. So I have a colleague I worked with. I'm not going to mention his name. So this guy went into school just like everyone else, not knowing what is going to happen after school, until he met a friend. I don't know if I'm going to call that person his friend. Until he met someone in school. That person was a UI UX designer. So that guy, this my friend now, meeting that guy was new to the whole stuff. He didn't know what UI UX design. He just noticed that this guy was always doing this stuff. And as at that time, that guy wasn't even making money. You understand? The guy was just solely focused on learning. So he would always come around this guy, seeing these guys on screen designing stuff. And that was how it sparked his interest. And he began to learn this UI UX design. Today, that guy earns good money in dollars with UI UX design just because he met that person in school. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is make sure you are around the right people in school. If you want to start learning skills now, look for people in your department or your classmates that are doing something. Make sure you are around them. There's something about staying around people. I have a friend that stayed around me, and that was how he learned graphic design. He learned web development, and now he's doing it just by coming around me. So I want you to make sure you start staying around the right people. With time, you are going to start doing what they are doing. It's going to rub off on you. But I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Stick around the right person. Stick around the right person. Stick around the right person. Guys, this is such a valuable advice. Stick around like-minded people.
Alright, hustlers, that's all we have for you today. I hope this episode ignites your entrepreneurial fire. Rate and review this podcast using the hashtag Campus Hustlers on all social media platforms. If you're yet to subscribe, hit the subscribe button now. Until next week, stay hungry, stay focused, and keep hustling. Bye-bye.
Campus Hustlers with Fatima Zakaria.